Hey guys, Carl here, Cultivate with Carl, and it's time for your weekly garden journal update. It is Tuesday in June, and I was supposed to do the update yesterday, but I had just returned from vacation and I was pretty tired. So I didn't get a chance to squeak one out. I had to come right home and get some things straight. I actually was lucky enough to harvest about 5 super looking tomatoes and cucumbers and a bunch of cherry tomatoes. Here's a picture. Okay, we are in full transition from our spring garden to our summer garden. And what that means is that a lot of the plants that we had, varieties of plants, were not heat-loving plants. And so they have not been doing well. We've been really struggling, especially the tomatoes. But when we look at the tomatoes, we're gonna look at the difference between how well a tomato plant does from being in full sun all day long and then some shade. And it makes a huge difference on the condition of the plants. And you'll see the difference here in a second, but the short story is the ones that are in the full sun all day long, they're not doing as well, you know. And I think for 2 reasons. It gets hot down here. In May, we got hot a lot sooner than we normally do here in Zone 9A on the Mississippi coast, about 2 blocks from the beach. So we had a spike in heat, and from that spike in heat, the tomatoes started doing poorly. Then, with our squash and zucchini, we've had an infestation of the vine borer bug, and they basically wiped out our squash and zucchini production. Now we are trying some things that we're going to look at, some methods. Sounds like somebody's getting some. So we're trying out some methods. I have tried to save some of them with BT, but the thing with BT is you have to get it on the plant early enough for it, you know, by the time the mother moth comes in and lays the eggs, you have to have the BT on there, so when the eggs hatch and the caterpillars start boring into your squash, then that's when you need it on there. Obviously I missed that because I've lost most of my squash plants. And I've tried something new we're going to look at here in just a little bit. Some row covers, and we'll see if we can prevent the mother moths from getting on the plants in the first place. Maybe we can get some squash and zucchini that way. We'll see. So we've learned a lot this grow season, and I think we should come up with a video to encapsulate the spring grow season, to say these are the things that we learned, these are the things that we screwed up, and let's not make that mistake again in the fall. Because my goal right now is to get everything. We're going to have a summer crop. We're going to do some okra. We're going to do some sunflowers. I'm not quite sure what else we're going to do. Maybe eggplant and peppers. And then all the rest of the beds are going to be put into rehab mode. We're going to try and get our compost finished. And then we're going to build a couple more beds in preparation for the fall growing season. So that's going to start around September, October, so that we can, we're going to try and do tomatoes again in the fall. And then we're going to try and do a bunch of the cold weather crops starting about October, which is going to be, lettuce, broccoli, cauliflower, and things like that. So in officially the official summer season, here we go. Let's take a tour of the garden. And I believe that we should start off with the former carrot bed, but now the squash zucchini bed. All right, here we go. All right, guys, here's the former carrot bed. What we are trying to do is to exclude the bugs with the row cover. And I've got a little design flaw where I have the row cover clipped to the bottom with laundry clips. We're going to go back and we're going to put bungee cord there, because I can tell already, I know for a fact that there is at least one assassin bug in there, because I can see the assassin bug running around on one of the plants right now. But we also have a praying mantis in there, which is cool. You know, I mean, praying mantis, hopefully you'll eat some of the bugs. But the plants look healthy. They look better off, and I don't know why these dogs are wigging out while I'm recording. But at least one bug's in there. You can see a little fella right there. But not as many that are on the other plants. So what we have is we have squash here and 2 zucchinis in the back. And so hopefully, you know, through the summer we can get some more production out of these puppies. And speaking of puppies, the Squirrel Defense Force has been activated. And they're going to probably start participating in the Barkathon here in a minute. But anyway, there you go. The new squash zucchini bed, because you're going to see here shortly that the rest of the squash and zucchini are doing quite poorly. So let's go take a look at them. Okay, here are squash plants. And what I did with these squash plants was I came in at the bottom and I cut off all the branches, and then I wrapped the bottoms in aluminum foil. And the thought process there would be that the mom will try and lay her eggs down near the bottom, which is what I understand that they do. And she wouldn't be able to get to the stem because of the aluminum foil. Now, I also injected BT down the center of the plant, and if there were some in there, maybe it killed them off. But as you can see right here, this is new growth. So I may have some powdery mildew issues, which we'll deal with, or that could be sun scald. But, you know, on this plant for sure, that's a lot of new growth. And so it's growing right up the trellis as it's supposed to. And maybe we'll get some zucchinis out of that. But I believe what I'm going to do is come in the bottom, trim it up some more, clean up all this garbage, and wrap some more aluminum foil on it. And then we'll see as an experiment, does it work? And then I do believe that's going to be powdery mildew. And so we'll treat for powdery mildew. These little fellas over here, I think this one's already had it. Yeah, you can see right there. It's flat. Vine borer got it. And we'll check these two for vine borer damage. But I do know over in the corner I have a zucchini plant. Let's go look at that right now. All right, this zucchini plant right here. You can see the aluminum foil was on there yesterday, but that is classic vine borer chew damage. And so this thing will go into the garbage. And that's a shame, because that thing grew up pretty well and it was doing very great before I went on vacation. So vine borer damage, what can you do? Who knows? Now I've seen my Scott Head on Black Gumbo Gardening. He says that the vine borers, they get into the soil and that you have to rotate your crops for 3 years, and you can't plant zucchini or squash there for 3 years. And so these are pots. I'll have to mark them or something to prevent me from replanting squash or zucchini in the same place. So I'm really hoping that the row covers work out, because I would like some squash and zucchini without having to go to the farmer's market. So, you know, I bring some zucchini out here and tape them onto the stems, be like, ooh, I grew zucchini. No, I wouldn't do that. Okay, let's move on to the pride of the garden, which is the pepper bed. Okay, you can see that we have a lot going on here in the pepper bed. The old shishito peppers are turning red. It's time for them to get harvested. My giant Marconis are turning colors, and then I have jalapenos in the back here, red green. The sweet banana peppers and more jalapenos are all busting out. This is really going well over here. There's a green pepper over there. There's a green pepper right here. And then we're just marching along. No more. Oh, no, look at that. We got some more snackables right here. These are good, by the way. These are really good. Here's some jalapenos. And more jalapenos. Very nice. Sweet peppers. Sweet banana peppers. Sweet banana peppers. Big sweet banana peppers. So I'm going to get them off of here today. I'm going to go ahead and clip a lot of this stuff off today. I'm actually sending the jalapenos to my son because he likes the hot stuff. And I'm growing these as an experiment to see if I can grow them. There's a wasp of some type, and he's working over the flowers. Good for him. He's more than welcome. And there you go, the pepper bed in all its glory. All right, let's talk tomatoes. So this year has been, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times for tomatoes, because in this year we have gotten a large volume of tomato harvest. We've had big tomatoes, little tomatoes, we've had slicers, we've had cherry tomatoes. So as rough as the season went, I still declare success because I actually had to give away like 3 bags of tomatoes before I left on vacation. And that's an indicator that, hey, I couldn't eat all the tomatoes. Now, my plan was actually to go ahead and can some of those tomatoes, which it wasn't going to work out timing-wise. So I actually will probably go to the U-Picket and get a bunch of tomatoes to can for this year. That's fine. And the goal next year, the goal over the winter will be to go ahead and grow enough tomatoes for me to can. Now, we've had success with some varieties and not a lot of success with other varieties. And the compounded problem of not marking the tomatoes properly when they were seedlings has come back to haunt me all year long. So the problem with that is half of them, I don't know if they're determinants or indeterminates. Now, you can tell now, like, you know, those ones at the end down there, those are obviously indeterminates. This plant right here is probably a determinate because it's gotten so far and it's pumping out a bunch of fruit, and it's probably going to die right after that. But early on, you don't know whether to prune the suckers off the tree or not. You don't know how to maintain it. So basically, I've just let them go. And that's been effective. Like I said, we've gotten a lot of tomatoes. Probably not as many as I was expecting or hoping for. But one thing I did discover is that the tomatoes in the pots along the fence are actually doing better because during the day, they get shade. And my biggest problem this year with tomatoes up to this point has been the squash bugs, the leaf-footed squash bugs. And those squash bugs are coming in and they're hitting all my fruit, and they're the squash bug, it kind of bites it. Let's think like it's like a tomato mosquito, and it will bite into the skin and probably going after some water or something inside, and it makes the skin look terrible. And I don't know if you want to eat something like that or not. If it gets too bad, I think I'd rather just throw them in the compost and start over. So I've lost some tomatoes to that. However, we're trying some new stuff. I've got these little bags. Wait, and let me preface this by saying I don't want to hit the garden with 7 Dust or anything more potent than neem oil. And I understand there's something, it's primethrum or something like that. It's got chrysanthemum juice in it or something, some chemical that's in chrysanthemums. And I'm unsure, I haven't done enough research about that to put that on my tomatoes yet. So what I'm trying to do is exclude the little suckers by either row covering them or putting these little bags over their individual fruit, and we'll see how they do. I wish I had done this before going on vacation, because while I was on vacation, a lot of fruit started to ripen up, and I lost a couple of them because they looked terrible. They looked like little pinpricks. The tomatoes you see now that are covered were the ones that didn't have any noticeable damage. And the ones that are uncovered are like trap tomatoes. They had damage on them, or they did not look perfect. So what I did was I left them uncovered, and they will draw the stink bugs to them because they can't get through the covers. That's my thought process. And that way, if I can get the rest of this harvest out, done, like, see, I can see right now there's a stink bug on top of one of these covers. There's no way he's getting to those tomatoes. So that's a win-win for us. Now, I have sprayed neem oil, which did kind of keep them away for a little bit, but then they were over it. and I do have a resident blue jay that is coming in and wearing them out. However, there's only so much that blue jay can eat. So I need a flock of blue jays or a bunch of chickens. So there you go. It's been a rough year for the tomatoes, but we've gotten a lot of tomatoes. Now, my one tomato plant over here that's over in Tomato ICU, I planted them there because I didn't have anywhere else to plant them. Man, that thing, don't tell nobody, but it's doing great. And so what I'm thinking about is doing some kind of a hanging row cover over it. It has yet to start flowering or putting on fruit, but it's about 5 feet tall, so as it should be. It's an indeterminate, and it's probably the healthiest plant that I have. So we're going to try and do some of the things that we learned down here for that plant, and hopefully we'll actually get some of the Kellogg's breakfast tomatoes that I've so desired. I've had one so far, and it's in the house, and I plan on eating it today. So let's take a tour of the tomato plants and see the damage and see what we've done to fix it. But that's kind of like my my little information on tomatoes so far this year. It was we had high hopes. We did get a lot of tomatoes, and then they petered out. Especially, I'm kind of disappointed in some of the cherry tomato varieties that we had. I thought they were a little bit more heat resilient, and I do like a cherry tomato. So now we've gotten a bunch, and I've eaten a bunch, but not near as many as we should have, especially with the Edox tomatoes. And again, Scott Head, he on his channel, Black Gumbo Gardening, he gets like tons of them. Like, I mean, one plant's putting out hundreds, and mine put out dozens. And I don't know if it's a soil deficiency or something, but I want to find the difference out and then keep going. That variety looks like a good variety. So, all right, let me get the dismounted, and then we will take a tour of the tomatoes. All right, guys, here we go. Tomato bed. You can see I've got the bags on the tomatoes, and what I've gone and then done is looked at each of the fruit and the ones that didn't have the damage, put the bags on them. You can see here I got a wasp sitting there. Good for him. We're gonna let Mr. Wasp be. Some of these tomato plants we're gonna let grow. I've planted okra in the bed, and the okra will grow up, but these plants will be done before the okra matures. So hopefully we'll be able to get some more production out of them. These this is a sun gold, and it's produced pretty well, as have the other sun gold plants in the bed. So these are Edox tomatoes. They're F1 hybrid, and they come, I believe, from Johnny Seeds. And they're getting long, but they still have flowers in the heat. And so I'm inclined to keep them around until the okra gets big. But I mean, this thing's got 4 feet of stem without anything on it, and then but at the top it keeps producing. So we're gonna stretch it out and lay it down and let it go. Here you can see the damage caused by the stink bugs. That little dot there is that, there goes the stink bug, as a matter of fact, flying off. These were my Romas, and I went ahead and threw a cover on them to see if I could get some Romas, but these were the ones that had the blossom end rot. So if I can get 1 or 2 Romas off of here, I'm going to declare victory, and then we're just going to go ahead and get rid of that plant. This variety, I don't know what it was, but it was a big slicer variety. I pulled 4 off of here yesterday, and they were great. So here's some more of the damage done by the stink bugs. That discoloration there, you can see that's where they bite the plant. And so I've covered up the ones that didn't have a lot of damage, and hopefully we can get some tomatoes off of there. This little plant here, I don't know what heck's going on with it. I don't think it's ever produced a tomato, and so pretty soon it will have to go to the compost. Got tomato here. Look, stink bug on the outside. Ha 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 ha. Stink bug can't get in. So the bags, they're good. This was the sun gold bush, and it works great. Let's see, it was putting out a lot, and that was cool. Here we go. This is another one of those heirloom. You can see this little heirloom right here, it's got some damage, but the one up there does not. But no stink bugs. This was, I'm gonna have to look that variety up because those are pretty good. I know this one, and this one are both Hausenators, or all three Hausenators. And they were a tomato grown, and they're sold by Haus Tools. And they are supposed to withstand bug pressure and heat. However, that one does not look like it's doing very well. And we're going to trim those yellow leaves off. We're going to give it a shot of some nutrients, and then we're going to keep on plugging. But I got to these tomatoes before they got bug damage. And we'll see. This one's got a little dent in it. We'll let that one be. But there you go. So tomato tour. See, there's one of the little suckers right there. Two of them. Bunk. I like flicking them. So I just don't know. I don't know what else I could do. All right, let's move on to the cucumber bed. Okay, here's the back of the cucumber plants, and this is what I call the business end. So, if you remember trying to get rid of the squash bugs, this is where the squash bugs started. We sprayed with the dish soap, and the dish soap has done a great job of getting rid of the squash bugs, even though we'll probably see a couple hanging out in here. I came home yesterday and took 5 more, in fact, I see one right now. I took 5 more good-looking cucumbers off of here. Now, some of the stuff that suffered suffered poorly from the dish soap has started to die back, but some of it has really gone into overdrive. And you can see here that it's clumped up into this tree, and this tree for me is a pest. I have to cut, it's a neighbor's tree. I have to cut it back every year, but I tell you what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna let that thing go. I had considered pulling these out and putting something else in the bed, but as long as they're producing cucumbers, and as long as it's growing, I'm going to let it roll, and we'll see. And so I'll end up with a natural trellis, which is hysterical. But we can see some of the cucumbers haven't fared very well. For sure, the leaves haven't fared very well. Now, I'm going to trace these back to their origin, and then we're going to get rid of some of them. This was the scald, like, and you can feel these leaves. They feel totally different from these leaves. And we're going there and clear out some of the dead stuff. But this is all new growth. All this stuff up top is new growth. So we're gonna see if we can get it to grow back down and see what we can do to keep it. I'm all about cucumbers now. All right, let's move on. Our newest addition to the garden is this eggplant. I've never grown eggplant before. I'm gonna have to do some research on it. It was doing poorly at the store. So I bought it home, rescued it, and it looks to be doing okay. Once it hit the soil, it was very happy, and it started to grow and put on those flowers. And I guess it doesn't need a pollinator, because that looks like I got one of the, now this is the Japanese eggplant. So it looks like I'm going to have eggplants. Well, that's pretty cool. And my understanding is that eggplants like the summer too. So we will protect these with some stuff to prevent the tomato hornworms, because those little fellas should be showing up just about any day now. All right, our flowers are about done. What I've done is I've gone and planted sunflowers in the bottom, and as soon as those things start to sprout, we're going to go ahead and cut these down, put them in the compost pile. I've let all the basil go to seed in the garden. We put sunflowers in here. You can see they're starting to pop. I got to get some water in there. And then the AC is running, so we're not going to go over there. But as soon as I get off the video today, I'm going to go in here and start weeding this out. And then this will be weed free, and we're going to put down some mulch to prevent the weeds from popping back up. But that is the plant I was telling you about, the tomato plant that is doing so well. And no strawberries from these yet, but the plants look fantastic. Oh, I can see 2 strawberries right here. So I take that back. We have a couple strawberries and a bunch of weeds. Okay guys, there you have it. There's your garden update for this week. It was kind of lengthy, but there was a lot going on in the garden. So you can see that the change of seasons, the early change of seasons, has kind of done us in. And that's okay. You know, we've got bug pressure. That's okay. The worst villain, the tomato hornworm, has yet to show up. But I'll be honest with you, by the time they do show up, I doubt that I'm going to have any tomatoes because of the heat and the squash bugs. And that's okay. You know, we, at this point, are dealing well. We've gotten a lot of produce from the garden, and I'm pretty happy with it. I'm learning a lot of techniques, which I'll use to grow the garden next year. In fact, in the house, I've already got another Vigo garden bed, and I have 2 more of these little beds coming, and we're gonna expand the garden a little bit and be ready for the spring, or the fall, I mean. So come fall, we'll take everything that we've learned here and we'll apply it to that, and we'll push on. One thing I am going to do, I'm going to send some soil samples in to see what's going on with my soil, which is really, to be honest with you, what I should have done at the beginning of the summer to make sure I had the good mix. So that's it. Everything's going well. Here comes a squirrel defender. Come here, squirrel defender. Come here. Nope. I can hear Gunner barking, which means that he's barking at my cat inside the house. Or he's gotten out somehow, but that's okay. So they're not only squirrel defenders, they're cat defenders. The cat must be in its thunder chair because Gunner hates when she does that. So, but this is Ruby. Ruby's love muffin. Give me some kisses. Okay. I would let her lick me in the mouth, but she kind of licks other bad things with that. I don't want her to do that. So, anyway, there you are. Cultivate with Carl, your weekly update. Here with the Squirrel Defense Force, I'm telling you to get yourself a hobby. Get out in the garden. You know, if you're having some struggles in your garden, put in the comments below. Oh, here comes C-130. Woo! Air Force. All right, aim high. So there you go. Man, you know, it's good to have a hobby. It's good to be back. My little vacation was great. And but now it's all about today. We're going to get the garden straightened up. We're going to trim up some stuff. We're going to play with the Squirrel Defense Force. And we're going to have some fun before it gets too hot. So I will see you next week on Cultivate with Carl. Stay tuned, check in, comment, like, and subscribe. Booyah. Isn't that right, Ruby? Yeah, just say yeah. Okay.